In 1987, Martin published a collection of short horror stories in portraits of his children. During this same period, Martin continued working in print media as a book series editor, this time overseeing the development of the multi-author Wild Cards book series, which takes place in a shared universe in which a small slice of post-World War II humanity gains superpowers after the release of an alien-engineered virus. New titles are published in the ongoing series from Tor Books. In second person, Martin gives a personal account of the close-knit role-playing game RPG culture that gave rise to his Wild Cards shared world anthologies. An important element in the creation of the multiple author series was a campaign of Chaosium's role-playing game Superworld, 1983, that Martin ran in Albuquerque. Admitting he became completely obsessed with the game, he stopped writing literature for most of 1983, which he refers to as his lost year. But his shrinking bank accounts made him realize he had to come up with something, and got the idea that perhaps the stories and characters created in Superworld could somehow become profitable. Martin's own contributions to Wild Cards have included Thomas Tudbury, the great and powerful turtle, a powerful psychokinetic whose flying shell consisted of an armored VW Beetle. As of June 2011, 21 Wild Cards volumes had been published in the series. Earlier that same year, Martin signed the contract for the 22nd volume, Lowball, 2014, published by Tor Books. In early 2012, Martin signed another Tor contract for the 23rd Wild Cards volume, High Stakes, which was released in August 2016. In August 2016, Martin announced that Universal Cable Productions had acquired the rights to adapt the Wild Cards novels into a television series. He noted that he himself would not write for the adaptation due to focusing on A Song of Ice and Fire. In 2014, Martin said in a BBC interview that he writes using WordStar editor software on an MS-DOS computer because he dislikes having his work spell-checked and to avoid internet distractions. He uses a separate computer for common internet tasks, A Song of Ice and Fire. In 1991, Martin briefly returned to writing novels. He had grown frustrated that his TV pilots and screenplays were not getting made, and that TV-related production limitations like budgets and episode lengths were forcing him to cut characters and trim battle scenes. This pushed Martin back towards writing books, where he did not have to worry about compromising his imagination. Admiring the works of George R.R. Tolkien in his childhood, he wanted to write an epic fantasy, though he did not have any specific ideas. His epic fantasy series, A Song of Ice and Fire, was inspired by the Wars of the Roses, The Accursed Kings, and Ivanhoe. Though Martin originally conceptualized it as being 3 volumes, it is currently slated to comprise 7. The first, A Game of Thrones, was published in 1996, followed by A Clash of Kings in 1998 and A Storm of Swords in 2000. In November 2005, A Feast for Crows, the 4th novel in this series, became the New York Times #1 bestseller. The 5th book, A Dance with Dragons, was published July 12, 2011, and became an international bestseller, including achieving a #1 spot on the New York Times bestseller list and many others. It remained on the New York Times list for 88 weeks. In 2012, A Dance with Dragons made the final ballot for Science Fiction and Fantasy's Hugo Award, World Fantasy Award, Locus Poll Award, and the British Fantasy Award. The novel went on to win the Locus Poll Award for Best Fantasy Novel. 2 more novels are planned in the series, The Winds of Winter and the final volume, A Dream of Spring. On April 25, 2018, Martin announced the release date of his new book, Fire and Blood, dealing with the history of House Targaryen, which was released on November 20th, 2018. Should Martin die before finishing the A Song of Ice and Fire series, former collaborators have said that they will not conclude the series for him.